Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus Reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. Just completed the draft last week. I did my mock draft in about 3 hours, and I'm pretty happy with my results.
That mock draft thing, Ben, I'm going to bring that up a little later on. I had some thoughts about that. But it was a wild and woolly draft. It's some interesting shenanigans and the way people came out, the dress, the jewelry, all of that kind of stuff. You know, it was interesting. When I see like some of the guys coming out, they got their new contracts, they got jewelry, they dripping ice, you know what I mean? And they're going up to shake the hand of a guy who's got like a regular jacket on and a shirt, but he makes more than any athlete in the NFL per year. And his net worth is somewhere under 300 million net, somewhere around there. But he makes 68 million a year as Roger Goodell. He might have a ring, he might have something on, but that's about it. It's just, there's a stark contrast that I see here. And I even thought about our boy Dion, because, you know, when Dion came out, he was flashing. Dion was flashing. And I don't know if he'd say, you know, if he would, you know, if he would just understand that's youth, or if he would say, don't do what I did. I don't know that, but I suspect he might say, don't do what I did. So
I wouldn't suspect that.
You wouldn't?
No. If you come out in a regular suit, a really super nice suit, a flashy suit, or come out looking like a goofball, that's all your personal taste and preference, and it has nothing to do with your football playing ability. So I could care less, and I think he cares less also.
Football playing ability. Okay, I understand. But I do think that there's always a life element to this situation, and that's kind of where I'm going. And you know, that's why I kind of was mentioning it, because something that I was noticing across our young athletes. But I don't want to go there too much. Let's go to Ben and Barry on football on Facebook, because that's where the agenda lies. Ben, it's all types of good stuff on the page. I want to start with something that's sort of close to your heart there, flag football. So apparently the NFL Flag Football League has a link out where if you want to play in that league, you can find a team. So I did put that up, this article up, NFL Flag Tournaments app. What can you tell us more about this?
No, not really, except for, you know, the little bit that I know about the actual league that's run by the NFL. I know that they're looking for certain types of players, not only players that have flag football ability and experience, but also players that are actually fundamentally very good football players. And of course, we're talking about skill positions here, because there's no actual offensive or defensive linemen in the type of flag football game that they play. So we're talking about quarterbacks, receivers, and D-backs for the most part.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Linemen get left out again. The big boys. Ben, you know, they have the run for the charity every year, the 40-yard dash. Was it St. Jude's?
Run, Rich, Run.
Run, Rich, Run. So they had Run, Rich, Run. And one of the people that ran was your boy Robert Griffin. That's what you call him, right?
His name's Bobby Griffin.
Bobby Griffin. Well, Bobby Griffin came out and ran a 4.48 for the Run Rich Run 40.
Great.
And now he's getting calls from the NFL.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he really?
This is what the reports are coming in. He's getting some interest.
I'd love to know where those reports are coming from.
I would too, actually. I would too. We'll have to follow up on that story. But you got to get a man credit running the 4.48 in retirement. He says he still wants to play. So that's what he says. The last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, my beloved 49ers, were blessed with the opportunity for that last pick the quarterback, much less. Are you familiar with how much of a celebration goes along with that Mr. Irrelevant title?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the guy has like a parade or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Man, and if he makes the squad, that's pretty cool.
Yes, that's true.
Who was it? Last year's guy had the long hair, wound up getting a commercial.
Got a commercial. I also believe he got a pretty good amount of playing time. I can't remember exactly who he was, but I remember reading an article in reference to him. And from what I read, this guy actually got a decent amount of playing time.
Really?
He wasn't a starter, but I believe
he was a linebacker, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe he was a linebacker. He got some special teams work in. And from what I surmised, the team that picked him is extremely happy with the guy, and he looks like he may have a nice little career.
Wow. Well, you never have enough quarterbacks. I like to see what this guy looks like. One of the things that came out of this draft, Ben, I should have the music playing in the background slide. It's a family affair. We should have that. It should be hitting that little beat thing in the back on this right here. But apparently there's a lot of family connections. You got the Edmonds brothers, you got the Watt brothers, you got Khalil and Carlos Davis, the Hayward brothers. Not to mention, let's scroll up just a little bit more, the Cook brothers. Now they don't play in the same. They're not on the same squad, are they? I don't think so.
I believe the Vikings. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the Vikings did take it.
That is amazing. That is amazing. That you have that much. And then I just happened to find this, and I saw this. Grandfather of Patriots, Darryl Stingley. Number 3 pick. What's that? Matt Elam, Abraham Elam. It says dad there. Son, nephew, Khair Elam. So the Elams is getting it in the NFL. Are you real familiar with these guys?
No, but I'm very familiar with Derek Stingley. Well, yeah, obviously I'm familiar with Darryl Stingley.
Right.
He had the unfortunate end to his career by being paralyzed on the field after hit by Jack Tatum. But Derek Stingley is a top flight cornerback and should have a long and illustrious career. Some of those other guys were pretty high picks, even though their older family members may not have been and may not have been really great players, but the bloodline goes on, So if you had a father, a grandfather, an uncle, somebody that actually played in the NFL and you got drafted, then you're carrying on that bloodline. Bloodlines mean a lot in sports, especially to owners and GMs. If you can play, you can play. But if you can play and you got bloodlines, that means something. Right. Thank you, dear. Legacy. Carrying on the legacy.
Interesting. Bloodlines, so animalistic. So animalistic. All right, Benny, this is your chance to crow. And I have a question. Here we had the grades for all these mock draft experts.
Right.
Some of these guys revised their mock drafts up to about how many times would you say?
5 or 6 times.
At least 5 or 6 times. And some of them revised their mock draft up to the damn near the last second before the draft actually started.
At least the day before.
And as you pointed out, generally they all have research resources, network or whatever media resources that, there for them. And so, the best out of the group that was listed in this page now, of course, this was only 3 out of I don't know how many mock drafts, because everybody's got one. Everybody and their grandmother has a mock draft going on. But the best of them did 7 out of 32 teams. Am I correct?
You are correct. Peter King, who writes for Sports Illustrated and who I have a tremendous amount of respect for his football acumen, his intelligence in reference to the game, his years of being around the game, studying the game, personally talking to players, is unmatched as far as I'm concerned. And Peter King came up with the 7. So now while we're on this real quick, let me just say, the grading system kind of went like this. If during the mock draft, they picked the right team, taking the exact right player at the exact right pick, they got 1 point for it. If they picked the player to be picked at a certain pick number 4, pick number 5, pick number 6, but a different team took them, they got a 0.5 point. If they picked the correct player going to the correct team, but at a different point in the draft, say they said this guy's going to go to this team at pick number 23, but the guy actually went and picked number 27, then you got a 0.5 point for that also. So obviously this is with all the trading that went on in the first round, and I'm just talking about the first round right now. With all the trading that went on in the first round, it makes this almost an impossible feat to try to pull off. Okay. So, if I say Peter King got a 7 and he was the best guy, all right, and in my opinion is the best guy knowledge-wise, then that tells you how difficult it is when there's 32 teams. There were 32 picks in the first round, and he got a 7. So that's a combination of getting exactly the right player on the exact right team at the exact right pick, along with getting the right player to the right team, but maybe on a different pick, or the right player at the right pick, but maybe with a different team because a team traded and got the guy that you thought was going to go to the other guy, but they traded the pick away. Okay, that's extremely, extremely difficult. So with all the resources that these guys got, Peter King got a 7. Daniel Jeremiah, guy that's on NFL Network all the time, again, just like Peter King, has access to everything he could possibly need to try to make an expert guess, because that's what mock drafts are. They're guesses. Okay. Daniel Jeremiah got a 5. Charles Davis, one of your favorite guys, got 4.5. Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, who do this for a living for years, got 4.5. And yours truly, who spent 3 hours on it the day before the draft, also got a 4.5.
You know, all right.
What?
Let me say this. First off, I think the most valuable thing was what you did in your pre-mock draft assessments.
Absolutely.
I have come to this opinion that mock drafts are an enormous waste of time. Why would I listen
It's
to
entertainment.
anybody who got a 21% win ratio and what they telling me is going to happen? I can look at the talent and say, okay, there's this is the talent. Now, what these crazy GMs and all of this stuff does, and it mixes it all up, it happens every year. You said it's practically impossible, so we know it's impossible.
Correct.
But you're going to give me a mock draft and I'm supposed to waste 5 minutes looking at it just
Yes.
because you rearrange, this guy from here and this. Nah, believe me, if we do anything on an ongoing basis, I love to have this assessment, almost like this would be a resource for those knucklehead mock draft to come look at your resource and say, okay, these are the good people. Now I just got to figure out where they go,
Right.
because I mean, really, the best guy. So, what you did early on, I learned so much more about the players and who they were, and then, you can even, I don't know what my girl did, Cynthia.
She didn't make the list. I don't know.
I don't know what she did. But see, Cynthia, some of these mock drafts automatically excuse themselves from the results by saying, this is not what I expect them to do. This is what I think they should do.
Right.
So automatically they can be as wrong as rain, and and they're
correct.
not really wrong because they didn't say that is what was going to happen.
That is correct.
I kind of like, at least with her, I feel is somewhat of an objective look at it. But again, like you say, the wild cards that get floated, the dealings that go on, it's all a lot of fun. I'm just glad that I kind of knew who the guys were because of what you had already done to set us up with that information. You know, so when the boy that went to the Eagles came out, I was like, oh yeah, I know him. Then I'm like, oh snap, Eagles got a monster. You know what I mean? So at least I had some idea who these guys were. And a week or two before you did your assessment, I didn't know who they were.
Right.
I truly really didn't. So I was able to get up to speed. So all that mock draft stuff, it makes for great talking points on TV when they got nothing else to talk about. They can mock draft themselves into oblivion. I'll probably be watching the financial news networks at that particular time. But I do like the assessment. I don't know if we want to look at it like a top 5 or top 8 or top 10, or if we're going to go through the positions and things of that nature the way you did. But I think we could fill that thing out. And like I said, they'd be looking at your report to try to figure out who, and then they have to go to, whatever to figure out, why this guy would go here as opposed to here. But like I remember mentioning last week, that I heard rumors that, Buffalo was interested in, who was the kid that went to, who was the top running back?
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall, yeah. I had heard that they were interested in Breece Hall, and that didn't happen at all.
But they did select a pretty good running back in a later round.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because at our Facebook page, we do have every team's selection there. So you can go there and get a chance to see exactly what every team got. And that's pretty much across all 32 teams. I did my best to make sure that I did it across all 32 teams. It was, I believe, this based on Bleacher Reports. So, I want to mention here, because we always try to rep Jackson State whenever we can. Dion, who's making a big effort to bring HBCUs into focus. The first Jackson State player of the Coach Prime era is off the board when the Detroit Lions picked Jackson State's James Houston. You know much about Mr. Houston?
I remember his name. I watched a couple Jackson State games. It was difficult for me to focus on the HBCU guys and still pull off this other stuff. The report that I did in reference to the best players at each different position did not bring any HBCU guys up. And in my mock draft, it was pretty obvious that, let's face it, the trend toward going toward all the bigger schools for players in the early rounds is going to still continue. But the fact that several HBCU guys did get picked, and I think I sent you something that showed not only the 4 guys that actually got drafted, which was a big deal, but there's also a whole list of guys that got selected as free agents and are going to get and got camp invites.
Okay, Benny. So rather than go through all 32 teams, we have them all listed on our Facebook page. But I thought you might want to take a minute to kind of, talk a little bit about your New York Football Jets and what you guys did in the draft.
Giants, bro. Giants.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
New York Football Jets. Jets is right there in New York, but they're in the other conference in a different division, but they're right there in New York, sharing the same field with you guys, right?
right.
I think that they were credited with having a pretty good draft.
As far as I'm concerned, they're top 3.
Really?
The Jets had an awesome draft. They navigated their way through the draft, especially through the first round, magnificently. They did an extremely good job. The Giants kept it pretty basic, but they covered a lot of positions of need. I don't know a whole lot about some of the players that they picked in the later rounds. I'll have to go back and check with my brother on that stuff, but I'm extremely happy with the first 2 picks. If you remember my mock, I was hoping that with the pick where they got Thibodeau, that they would take an offensive tackle. I didn't name Evan Neal, but I'm happy with Evan Neal, who they took with their second pick in the first round. And with the first pick in the first round, they took Kayvon Thibodeau, who's supposedly a dynamic edge rusher. I agree with that assessment. I like the kid that went with the first overall pick a little bit better, but I don't think Thibodeau is going to be a problem at all. I expect him to excel. So I'm happy with the New York Giants draft. Those 2 guys are starters, which is exactly what you want with your picks in the first round. You want starters, okay? Other than a quarterback, you pick a guy in the first round, you expect him to be a starter right off the bat with no doubt in your mind. And I believe they got 2 guys that should step right on the field and contribute. So I'm very happy with that. Other than that, they took another D lineman, they took a safety, they took a linebacker, which they definitely need. They grabbed a tight end, which they also need. They grabbed a receiver late, and they grabbed a corner late. So, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Cordell Float, but I'm hoping that he will do well if he's able to get himself a starting position or maybe a slot corner position and play on third down. I'll be more than happy with that.
Okay. Now, is is this a 5th-year option situation for Daniel Jones?
Yes, this is his 5th year. This is his, yes, I'm sorry. They did not pick up his 5th-year option. So this is a make or break season for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to have to show market improvement in his game this season, or they're going to start looking for another quarterback, plain and simple. It's kind of not fair, but it's kind of fair. I mean, let's face it, the owner himself said they didn't do him any justice by the things that they put him through. We have a new GM now, a guy that looks like he has a better idea of what their future vision is supposed to be and should do a better job of building around Daniel Jones, which hasn't really been done. I wish that in the past, at least 2 seasons, they had worked a little bit harder to improve the offensive line faster, which it looks like now they're going to do. But still, he's got to be able to do the things that a good quarterback is going to do, which is avoid sacks, get rid of the ball. If you get sacked, don't get stripped, don't fumble. If you run, get down, don't fumble. His whole thing, the thing that hurt us the most as far as Daniel Jones was concerned is turnovers. So if he can get away from that and improve on that, then they'll probably hang on to him. Doesn't mean they won't pick a quarterback later, because 2003 is supposed to be 2023 rather, is supposed to be a pretty big draft for quarterbacks. So we will see. But if Daniel Jones is going to prove that he should be the Giants quarterback for now and the future, he's got to do it now. He's got to do it this season.
You don't have any first-round picks for 2023, do you?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I haven't even looked at it. Okay.
I kind of had moved on from Daniels a while back, so this did though happen to be probably for him that it was somewhat of a considered a weak quarterback class of the NFL draft experts. So quarterbacks fell pretty low. It'll be interesting to see if some great quarterbacks come out of this class. Would be kind of funny, kind of ironic. This is a list of players that had their 5th-year option exercised. So, the first person that I see is Kyler Murray, Debo, and there's another. There's another receiver. Oh, it's from the Eagles. Rager, I think it is, are into scrubbing their social media. This is how they communicate whatever.
This is the new thing. Kyler Murray did it. Debo did it. Another guy did it. Like whose feelings are you hurting? What you trying to send a signal of some sort? Who cares? Who cares? Get it done on the field or don't get it done on the field. You don't like your situation? Let management know. I feel like I need to be traded. Do it the old-fashioned way. Scrubbing your IG means absolutely nothing to anyone.
Okay.
Probably didn't have any followers any damn way.
Oh my goodness. All right, what do we got? We got more things. We talked about this in previous times, and this is the next step in the story. I'm concerned because we're looking at these experts, and these guys know a ton about football. And like I said, my man Charles Davis is, Ben, when he compliments me on Madden, I feel so good. It's just a great fit stuff. Right? He's like, this guy's a rookie. but he's playing like a vet. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, but 21% was the best in terms of the mock draft. Now, on the other end is the question of how many of these guys are going to be successful in the NFL and what's the rate of success. This looked at a study of draft picks, 1996 to 2016. And let me see here. I'm not sure if this is all first round, but in most cases, that's what they were looking at. Right? 16.7% did not play for the team that drafted them. So you go, they didn't even play for them. 37% were considered it useless, right? Didn't make the team. 10.3% considered poor, playing time limited. 10% considered average.
This is for the entire draft. Is that correct?
Huh?
This is for each team's entire draft. Is that correct?
As I'm seeing it now, when they did this study, okay, I would say, yeah. When they looked at this, looked like a league-wide study.
I'm not surprised at that at all.
Not surprised at all. And the way let me put it this way. I don't know if I'm not surprised. You say I'm not surprised. I do kind of feel informed that sometimes the starkness of the numbers, the reality of the numbers is, kind of look at it and go, well, darn, I knew it was, you might have thought it was bad, but it's like, really, So close to 17%, that's almost a fifth of all of these guys that are being chosen in the draft aren't even going to play for the team that, well, they might play for a different team because it just said did not play for the team that drafted them. So they might get them, they might guys in and then wind up trading around and having them move from place to place. I've actually talked to our friend Corey Clemens' dad. We were talking one day, and I actually was showing him a couple of players when he talks about Corey, and Corey's, has moved between like 3 teams and, et cetera, et cetera. It's, it's an undrafted free agent, to keep a job in the NFL and keep moving forward. But some of these guys, 10-year careers, and I think our backup quarterback in Minnesota, the guy behind our dear Kirk Cousins, was one of those guys, like 10 years, man, of like hanging on. Of course, again, that's quarterback, but like 10 years of hanging in the league and really not playing, not starting anywhere, but having that, time in the league. So it is interesting. Almost 17, either didn't play for the team or 37% considered useless. Either they didn't play much or they didn't make the team. And that's probably even a crazier number. That number sounds normal to you too?
Yep.
Really? What the problem is, man? What the problem is?
Well, first of all, how many rounds are there in the draft?
7.
Okay.
6, 7.
Okay. And there's a good number of teams that have multiple picks in those 7 rounds. So they might have 2 first rounders, 2 third rounders, 3 6 rounders. There's some teams that have that situation. Okay. So it's not like every team picks 7 players. Some teams only pick 4 or 5 players. Some teams pick 9 or 10 players, depending on the number of picks they have. So once you start getting into those deeper rounds, it's a crapshoot. The whole thing's a crapshoot for real, for real. Those later rounds, it's a crapshoot.
The whole thing's a crapshoot. It's all a crapshoot.
The whole thing's a crapshoot as far as what I think a team needs and what the team thinks they need. That's what makes this whole mock draft thing seem kind of hokey, because not knowing what each individual team's draft board actually looks like and how they value each different player, when they start, when they say, okay, the Eagles are on the clock, and then they say, oh, there's been a trade, the Eagles have traded their pick to so-and-so and moved down to so-and-so, that's because either somebody they thought they wanted already got picked, or somebody they were able to get earlier allows them to now wait on that position a little bit longer. So they'll trade that pick, get 2 later picks for next year's draft, and still get another guy that they want. There's so much maneuvering going on. The people doing the mock drafts have no clue, 0 clue of what's going to happen there. So you can only decide when you're doing your mock draft that when this pick comes up and this team has that pick, that this is who I think they're going to take. But you have no clue. And that brings this to mind. You have mentioned Peter Schrager talking about doing his mock draft according not only to whatever knowledge he's gathered, but whispers that he's heard from certain sources that he has on particular teams. Okay.
Those connections.
Yeah. Well, I went through his first round and it's freaking horrible. I would bet money that I beat him hands down. His picks are terrible. No, I can't see. The only teams I see off the top of my head, the only picks he got right. Listen to this. He said Kenny Pickett was going to go on the 32nd pick to the Detroit Lions. So some source told him that the Lions were going to trade back and get the 32nd pick, which was not their pick, and take Kenny Pickett. I said the Pittsburgh Steelers would take Kenny Pickett at pick number 20, I think. And that's exactly what they did. No trades, no nothing. They picked number 20, and at number 20, they took Kenny Pickett. So I bust his behind right there. Mr. Previous Schrager, I got sources, okay? Yeah. Ben doesn't have any sources. Ben only has this, and this. That's all I got. Okay, his picks are terrible. He has the Steelers taking Malik Willis. He has Jahan Dotson going to the Saints. Wrong, big wrong, big wrong. Now he did get Jordan Davis to the Eagles. I'll give him credit for that. The rest of these are terrible. He's got Thibodeau going to the Falcons, Stingley going to the Giants. No, Evan Neal to the Panthers at 6. Evan Neal went to the Giants at 7. Stingley went to the Jets at 3. I'm sorry, that's wrong. What's his name? Sauce went to the Jets. So really, the only 2 picks he got right is the 2 picks that basically everybody got right, which is number 1, Jacksonville, Trayvon Walker, and number 2, Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. Other than that, bro, he's way off. Way off.
Well, okay. Yeah. All right. And again, you know, they just move on to the next conversation and leave all behind, you know. And it's interesting that we're kind of picking up on this and maybe even tracking it a little bit. Because again, after the fact, with the picks, okay, they guessed wrong on who was going to pick what, but then who was actually picked. As I'm looking here, and this is a Bleacher Report article, bust rates among first round picks, 25-year sample. Then 46.9% for running backs, 40% for quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely amazing. That is doing a better job with linemen, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Okay, there's your lineman, 19. Tackle, your offensive tackle doing pretty good. Safeties, they're doing centers, they're doing real good there. But these 2 up top, quarterback and running back, man, what is going on with that? And you always say mine did good. Did you know anything about the running back that we picked up?
I can't recall what his name is. If you say his name, I'll probably.
Yeah, I forget his name, but I think he's pretty fast. I think he's coming with some good cred. So it'll be interesting to see
It's
what
good.
we.
I have faith in Shanahan. He hasn't let me down yet as far as picking running backs. So I'm going to assume that the guy's going to be decent.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
they're in good shape with running backs right now. So we may or may not ever see him.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, Benny, not much left. I did want to mention again, we are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Hey, Benny.
Don't do it.
RG 2.5.
Don't
RG
do it.
2.5.
Bro. Number one, this is like a publicity stunt. For this guy to say that he wants to come back and play, I think is ludicrous. So he ran a 4.48. When's the last time he played? He got his knee repaired. Okay. He couldn't get back into the NFL because of his previous tape that he showed. Nobody was clamoring for him. So he's like, how do I get my name back out there? Oh, well, I'm in the media now, so I got to do Run Rich Run. That makes sense. What? I did what? A 4.48? Oh, I should be able to play. Now teams are supposedly calling him. If he gets a job before Colin Kaepernick gets a job, it's a travesty.
It's a travesty, I tell you.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. He mentioned Tom Brady, right? Playing till 40,
So,
33 or something like that.
and
So he's like, longevity, man. This is, in today's football world, they hardly can touch the quarterback. He might actually have a little something. Interesting. It's just interesting. The other part was he actually named like 3 teams that he would be interested in going to. I think it was the Cowboys and the Eagles, I do believe, were 2 of the, I forget who the third team was.
why would he want to go to the Cowboys and back up Dak Prescott? You serious?
Ben.
But if he says, I want to play, he didn't say, I think I can make a team. He said, I want to play. So if you want to play, that means if you put yourself out there and a team brings you in and gives you a physical and gives you a tryout and you make the team, that you want to compete to start. Why would you not want to compete to start? Does he really, really think that he can win a job in the NFL? How old is this guy? He's got to be pushing 30.
Like 33 or something, I think.
Oh, come on.
Ben.
Look,
I
he
hear
had a knee injury.
You're taking his words literally. I'm not even believing it. I'm thinking to myself, I hear what you're saying, but what I believe you really are thinking is, man, the best job in the NFL.
That's not what I'm thinking. That's what you're thinking.
Quarterback.
No, I'm not thinking
and
that.
The greatest place to be would be with the Cowboys because Dak is never coming off the field.
I'm not thinking that. I'm not thinking that. Not at all. Not at all. I just think he's doing it to see if he can do it. That's all.
All right. Let's see whose ridiculous thought will actually play out in the future, mine or yours. You're saying it's just a stunt, a publicity stunt, eh?
Hey, publicity stunts can turn into reality sometimes. You never know. Somebody may actually say, come on in. Let's give him a tryout.
Well, he said he got some interest. That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Oh, you believed everything else? You don't believe that part of it?
What do you mean I believed everything else? What is that? What did I believe?
He said he wanted to play. So that means he ought to do this, and that means he ought to do that. So you believe?
Who says they want to play in the NFL but
Huh?
they know, but they really just want to see if they can get a job.
Who says that?
Yeah, who says that?
Well, nobody's going to say it out loud.
Okay.
These guys say all the right things all the time. It's very good, I have to admit, because I hear a lot of even the college level guys where they give you football speak and they really don't tell you anything. You know what I mean? And they're really coached well to, I must admit. But again, I'm just trying to get an idea of what your understanding of what RG 2.5 actually said.
Stop with the this is a joke. This is a joke. Okay. Tom Brady went down with a serious knee injury, sat out for an entire year, got himself together, came back, took over his spot, and won multiple Super Bowls. Bobby Griffin went down with a knee injury and was never heard from again.
He's backing up. You inspected on the field, did you?
Why not?
He's
Tom
backing
Brady
up
did
Lamar.
it.
Lamar
Tom
ain't
Brady
coming off
did
the
it.
field.
Tom Brady did it. Carson Palmer did it. Drew Bledsoe did it. It's a whole ton of guys that did it.
Did what?
Had serious injuries and came back.
Well, he
And
did
were
come
winners.
back, but he came back on the Ravens. He wasn't getting any play
What does that
behind
mean?
Lamar.
He came back as a backup.
Behind Lamar.
Right. And when he got his opportunity to play, which he did, which happens when you get a backup quarterback job, sometimes they turn around and look and say, get in there.
What'd he do, Benny?
What'd he do? He crapped his pants. That's what he did. That's why I said this is a joke, because he knows if in fact somebody takes him up on this, somebody thinks he's serious because he's saying all the right things, and somebody thinks he's serious and gives him a chance, and athletically he proves that he can actually make a team, and they give him a hat and a clipboard and an earpiece, and then the starter goes down and they turn around and go, dude, warm up. Then we'll see what happens. Then they'll know if they made the right decision or not. I wouldn't waste my time. I'd be on the phone with Colin Kaepernick right now. And these sources who say he's got an interest, I saw an interview with the owner of the Vegas Raiders, and he said, if my coaches and my GM come to me and say, Mr. Davis, we want to bring Colin Kaepernick in, he said he would welcome him with open arms. That is real. That's real, not sources. That's real. He said that out of his own mouth. Now, whether he means it or not, hey, who knows? But he said it. That's real. That's not sources say. That's the owner of an NFL franchise said. I believe Colin Kaepernick deserves another chance to make an NFL team. And if my coach and my GM say, we want to bring Colin Kaepernick in, I will tell them, yes, bring him in. Give him a chance. If he makes it, he makes it. And if he doesn't,
I'll be quite honest with you, Penny. I'll be quite honest with you. You're right. He did say it, and I heard him say it. And then I thought to myself, well, there was no invite to the Raiders. So it's
no, he did not say, I want Colin Kaepernick. He said, if my coaches and my GM come to me and say, we want to bring Colin Kaepernick in, he would not be opposed to it. But he's leaving the football stuff to the football people, which is what owners are supposed to do.
Well, bottom line is, it sounds good from him, but it ain't happening with his team.
Well, it hasn't happened.
It's easy to say and then put it on your GM and your coach.
Okay, but I'm just stating.
And Colin did say he'd come in as a backup, so you couldn't bring him in as a backup?
Well, yes, he could bring him in as a backup. Absolutely.
It ain't happened.
Bro, he's not going to come in and beat out Carr.
Nobody said he was going to beat out Carr. That's what we said. Backup. Back.
I just said yes. Are you listening to me? I said yes.
Yes to what?
They would be willing. The owner said he would be willing to bring Colin Kaepernick in and allow him to compete to make the team to be a backup.
Okay. But it hasn't happened.
Oh, why are we even taking it that far? I am simply saying that a real NFL owner made a statement about one quarterback and another guy ran a 4.48 and threw his name out there and said sources are contacting him. There's a difference. That's all. That's all I'm saying. There's a difference.
So you're not really believing Bobby then? Bobby Griffin.
Bobby's full of you know what?
G 2.5.
Come on. 4.48.
4.48.
Make him a receiver then. 4.48.
Hey, you never know.
What do you mean you never know? He didn't say, I want to play again. I'll even go to receiver.
Hey,
he didn't say that.
I heard, let me say this real quick. They were talking about the Saints, and you mentioned that Taysom Hill, and we had talked about this, going to be a tight end. He's going to primarily. Yeah. What kind of wild card could he be for Jameis as a tight end, or even almost as he might be like a Debo, because he can do all of that type of stuff, but he's not going to be quarterbacking. So, do you think he could really be? Huh?
He might. Taysom Hill is still Taysom Hill. I don't care who the quarterback is.
He could be good. That's what I'm thinking. He could be good.
Taysom Hill is still Taysom Hill. They will use Taysom Hill in all the ways that they did previously. Whether Drew Brees, Jameis Winston, or you are the quarterback, it doesn't matter. You have a player on your team that can do multiple things. So you have to have packages for him to do some of those multiple things in your offense.
But not including playing quarterback, though.
Not full time.
I don't even think they're going to be doing that option stuff like that. From what they were saying, I don't. I think it's going to be much more. Now, when I say option, I'm talking about where he's handling the ball quarterback style.
Yes,
he might be coming on option sweeps and all of that kind of stuff.
They're going to still do that. If they did it when they had freaking Hall of Famer Drew Brees at quarterback, why would they not do it with Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston.
Why would they not do it with Jameis Winston if they did it when they had Drew Brees?
Well, Drew Brees had certain limitations.
Oh my God. You're killing me right now.
So that
you're killing me right now. You have a guy with a skill set that hardly anybody else has, but you're not going to use it?
You're making me try to figure out what – I'm just going by what they said.
No. You said, I don't think that they're going to do certain things with him.
Because
things that he has already done.
He's not in our plans to be in as a quarterback. They kind of stated that. Did you not hear that from the Saints?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so then I'm saying, okay, the quarterback stuff then, I'm thinking is going to be very limited, if any at all. So as a tight end, he can still do a lot of different stuff. And that's when I was wondering, well, how they would, because you got him and you got the running, what's the name on the running back on the other side?
Oh.
Lots of speed.
When they put somebody in as a wildcat quarterback, they handle the ball.
Oh, you think
they'll say that you don't? Yes.
Okay.
You're acting like he's never going to touch the ball from the center again. That's not true. They're going to absolutely. Okay? Do the Tennessee Titans have Derrick Henry in their plans to use as a quarterback?
I'm not going to get into that. These hypotheticals.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, you just made a hypothetical.
We weren't going to use him as a quarterback. So I'm saying, okay, how limited are you? How much are you really going to limit him, or how much are you really going to use him at tight end? That's my question.
Not going to limit him at all.
Okay.
Everything that he did before, he will continue to do, except be the starting quarterback. Everything else he did before, he will continue to do, except be the starting quarterback.
Well, we can end it on this. If you can say, I guarantee it.
I guarantee.
Too funny, too funny. All right, I'm done. You got anything else?
Sixers are down 10, second quarter, about 5 minutes left. But they're balling. They're holding their own. We'll see what happens. Go Sixers. Go Knowles.
Awesome, awesome. Talk to you.
All right.